She didn't love you, and deep down, part of you knew it all along, didn't you? You saw it in the way her eyes glazed over when you talked about your future, in how she never asked how your day was unless it benefited hers, in the way she disappeared when you were at your lowest. But still, you told yourself stories. You clung to hopes she never gave you and ignored truths that were burning right in front of your face. In the quiet moments, when your chest felt tight and you couldn't explain why, that was your inner compass screaming that something was off. Stoicism teaches that you must see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Amor fati, the love of fate, includes even the bitter realization that she never cared. And that realization? It's not a tragedy. It's a liberation. The first sign she never loved you is this. You were always giving, she was always taking. Love isn't a scoreboard, but when you're constantly sacrificing your time, money, energy, and peace just to keep someone emotionally present, that's not a relationship, it's a transaction. The Stoics believed in sympathia, the interconnectedness of the universe, which means that true relationships are mutual. They flow in both directions. If you gave and gave until you were emotionally bankrupt and she never once offered you shelter, kindness, or support during your own storms, she didn't love you, she used you. Not with malicious intent, maybe, but from indifference, which is worse. A Stoic would say, don't hate her for it. Just see it clearly. The second sign is more chilling. Your pain never moved her. Think about that. When you were vulnerable, broken, and exposed, did she lean in or pull away? When someone truly loves you, they're not always perfect, but your suffering stirs something in them. They want to help even if they don't know how. If she looked at your sadness like it was a nuisance, or changed the subject, or acted cold while you were breaking apart, that wasn't love. That was detachment. And not the kind Epictetus advocated for. This wasn't about equanimity. This was emotional distance dressed in romance. Stoicism encourages apatheia, the control of destructive emotions, but never the absence of compassion. If your sorrow didn't matter to her, she didn't love you. She tolerated you, used you, benefited from your presence until it stopped serving her needs. The third sign, your success intimidated her, your growth annoyed her. This one's subtle and hard to spot. At first, she praised your ambition. She liked your drive. But the moment your life started to elevate, financially, mentally, socially, something shifted. Her tone got sharper. She picked more fights. She started making you feel guilty for things that were good. A woman who loves you celebrates your glow-up. A woman who's using you resents it because it threatens her control. Marcus Aurelius said, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them knows anything about the subject." The subject here is you. Your essence. Your mission. Your evolution. If she rolled her eyes at your goals, mocked your efforts, or seemed passive-aggressively supportive, that was never love. That was possession. A Stoic doesn't chase applause, but neither should he tolerate sabotage disguised as romance. The fourth sign, she only showed affection when you pulled away. Read that again. Did she ever randomly surprise you with care or warmth when everything was calm? Or did her interest spike only when you started to withdraw? This is one of the most disturbing truths men overlook. Some women don't want to love you, they want to control you. And when they sense they're losing grip, that's when the false affection floods in. Temporary sweetness. Strategic intimacy. Promises with no follow-through. Seneca wrote that, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality, and nowhere is that more accurate than in toxic affection loops." You imagined that those brief sparks were proof of love, but they were just signals to keep you in orbit. Love isn't something you chase, especially not when it disappears the moment you become stable again. The fifth sign she never loved you is brutal and undeniable. Your value to her decreased the moment you needed help. When you were the one solving problems, carrying burdens, making her laugh, taking care of things, she was happy to keep you around. But when you got sick, lost your job, or went through depression, where was she? Did she check in? Did she fight for you? Or did she vanish, with some excuse that made it all sound like your fault? A woman who loves you doesn't run when it's inconvenient. She stands next to you, even if she can't fix it. Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionally numb. It's about anchoring yourself in truth, in values, in clarity. If she ran when the ship rocked, she was never your anchor. She was just a passenger enjoying the calm seas. And when the storm came, she bailed. That's not a judgment, it's a fact. Let it free you. The sixth sign is subtle, psychological, and toxic. She made you feel replaceable. Not directly, not in words, but in how she behaved. Flirting with others while calling it harmless. Comparing you to her exes. Following options online. Making jokes that cut deeper than she ever admitted. The Stoics knew that insecurity comes from within, but they also knew that it's foolish to ignore the signals others send. If you constantly felt like you had to earn her love, or keep proving yourself just to avoid being discarded, that's not love. That's manipulation. A person who sees your worth doesn't dangle your security like bait. They affirm it. She didn't. And maybe you thought that meant you had to try harder. But you were trying harder in the wrong direction. Epictetus said, "You become what you give your attention to." If all your attention went toward pleasing someone who kept moving the goalposts, you were becoming lost. Stoicism demands that you reclaim your focus. Recenter on your own values, not her whims. The final sign, the one that stings the most, is this. Your intuition screamed at you, but you silenced it. Your gut told you something was wrong. You noticed the coldness, the way her stories didn't add up, the way your heart felt unsafe but your mind rationalized it all. Stoicism isn't about ignoring feelings, it's about mastering them. And sometimes, the emotion you need to listen to most is dread. If you constantly felt anxious, uncertain, or paranoid in the relationship, that wasn't emotional weakness. That was your inner voice begging you to wake up. You didn't want to, because the illusion felt better than the truth. But illusions never last. And the longer you clung to them, the more you abandoned yourself. That is the real tragedy, not that she never loved you, but that you kept choosing her over your own peace. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. You were trying to live a truth that didn't exist. Now you know. And knowing is everything. Because once you see clearly, you can choose differently. You don't need her love. You never did. What you need is your dignity back. Your time. Your power. Your freedom. Let this pain sharpen you. Let it refine your perception. Let it burn away every lie you used to tell yourself about what love is supposed to feel like. Because the moment you stop seeking love from people who never had it to give, is the moment you finally start loving yourself. That's where Stoicism lives, not in denying heartbreak, but in learning how to stand tall inside of it. The question is, now that you know, what are you going to do? You sit with the silence after she's gone, and at first it feels like failure. Like the absence of her is somehow evidence that you weren't enough. But that feeling? That's not truth. That's residue. Residue from the lies you swallowed, about what love should feel like, about what pain means, about how a man is supposed to tolerate mistreatment in the name of being strong. Let's be honest, she never saw you. Not the way you craved. Not the way you needed. Not the way a man is meant to be seen by someone who claims to love him. And the most dangerous thing about her not seeing you is that over time, you stopped seeing yourself too. You began shrinking, editing yourself, silencing your own instincts just to preserve the illusion. Stoicism teaches us to live according to nature, to live honestly, in harmony with our values, unmoved by false appearances. But how can you live according to nature when you're constantly molding yourself into a version of you that only exists to avoid conflict, abandonment, or manipulation? So let's flip the question. Instead of asking, why did she leave? Ask this, why did you stay so long with someone who was never really there? The truth is, you stayed because you're loyal, because you believe in people, because you thought if you loved her harder, she'd finally see you. That if you endured, suffered, held on tight enough, things would eventually turn. And maybe that's because no one taught you that love is not something you fight to prove, it's something that should be freely given. But listen closely, Stoicism is not about suppressing heartbreak. It's about transmuting it, taking the blow and letting it sculpt you, not shatter you. When Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, lost everything in a shipwreck, he said, "Now that I've suffered shipwreck, I am on a good journey." This is your shipwreck. Now begins your good journey. You know she never loved you, not really. But instead of mourning her, it's time to mourn the parts of yourself that died in trying to keep her. The versions of you that were too afraid to walk away. The silence you endured. The self-respect you traded for her temporary attention. Let them burn. And from those ashes, let clarity rise. Because here's the paradox. When you let go of someone who never loved you, you finally make room for the person who will. That person might be someone else. Or at first, it might just be you. And you know what? That's enough. More than enough. But do it right. Don't just aim to be better or stronger in some vague, performative sense. Build a man who doesn't need validation to feel worthy. A man who values his inner peace more than her inconsistent affection. A man who can sit alone on a Friday night, read some Seneca, light a candle, drink tea or whiskey, and say to himself, I am enough, and I'm done begging people to see that. That's stoicism. Not cold, not robotic, just deeply rooted. You didn't lose her. She lost a man who would have fought every war for her. You lost someone who would have watched you bleed and blamed you for staining the carpet. So next time you see someone like her, beautiful, mysterious, chaotic in all the wrong ways, stop. Breathe. Don't chase the old wound. Let it close. Because this time, you choose peace. This time, you remember that your heart is not a proving ground. It is a temple. And no one enters a temple who doesn't know how to pray. If this message hit deep, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your pain isn't weakness. It's your awakening. Subscribe for more videos that combine Stoic wisdom with modern heartbreak, healing, and power. Let's grow together.